So I've been single for... Why am I looking at my fingerlings like that? No one has ever counted like this. I'm looking at them like I'm going to devour them. All right, let me redo this intro because I thought of this intro while I was brewing out my bacteria and I just thought it would be super funny. So once I do the intro, please laugh. So I've been single for... ever. You might be wondering also, what watch did this guy just check? It's the new Oxygen Rolex. A limited edition, none of you can have it because you're all peasants. Welcome back, you armadilliest armadillos. I'm happy you have crawled on the channel once again. I'm so happy to see you get down on all fours once again. I'm just going to disclaim this disclaimer. This MP4 file is going to be a little bit different in opposed to some of my previous MP4 files. And that's one of the powers of the internet. Super unqualified people stepping to the table to talk about things they have zero experience in. But unfortunately for you beautiful brats, in today's video, I'm actually super qualified on the subject. Because just like I introed in the intro, I have been singular since the day that I spawned. And the idea of being potentially plural has just recently started to arise on my horizon. Because as there is so much going on in our universe, this has been something that has been directly affecting my universe. And it's not anybody's fault, it's just the thing that everybody seems to be caring about. Because if you belong in the integer range, I would say anywhere from 17 to 25, this is probably affecting your lifestyle in some sort of a way. And whether that's due to social media or social unmedia, there's no denying. We are currently respiratizing in a I must be in a relationship pandemic or crisis, depending on what I put in the title.
Call me corny, but I want to fall in love with somebody who makes me feel like one of those scenes out of the movies. I want to fall in love with somebody who I wake up to every day and I feel like I'm in a fairy tale.
Every time I am on campus, every time I'm hanging out with my homies, every time I am talking with my incubator, it is the same discussion. It is the same topic that continues to topic over me. When will you become plural? When will you become a P in another pod? And because that question has been questioned to me repeatedly, you would genuinely believe that I'm a 37-year-old going through a midlife, maybe even seeking the afterlife crisis. Now, if you clicked on this video in hopes of it being a hope core and you saw the title and thought, wait a minute, I'm singular and I desire to be double, this video is not the solution. Nobody really has the solution. They're just acting like they have the solution. And I get it because we are living in a very couple-oriented orbit where everything seems to revolve around couples, and if you are not a couple or you're not in a relationship, you're just not deemed as worthy enough to exist. Like, it's not humanly possible for you to have decent serotonin levels if you're not in a relationship. And this occurred to me when, for the 75th time, I was sitting with a bunch of my homies and the conversation went like this. Yo, when are you getting married?
Yo, when are you getting married?
When are you getting married?
When are you getting married?
No, when are you getting married? And if we aren't discussing that, then it's a bunch of dudes confessing conspiracy theories over why some pair of breathing X chromosomes supposedly desires them. And just a little spoiler alert, she doesn't truly desire them. He was just at the library and he was looking at a book, and 20 minutes later, the girl that he actually likes looked at that same book. That's not a hidden message, you're just clinically insane. Now, before I actually dissect some of the content that I've been seeing on my feed, and quite frankly, seeing in my real life feed, I want to make it very clear, I am not taking a dump on relationships. If you are in a relationship, congratulations. I'm just saying it doesn't mean that everyone needs to get into that shit right now. I believe the pulp of the culprit to be somewhat from social media, because every time you fling your feed open and you scroll around, you keep on seeing couple trends or people fantasizing about the beauties of relationships that probably have never even sailed. And if it's not that, we're looking at celebrities or people in power in these beautiful loving relationships thinking that those are goals. Because apparently everything that's been broadcasted on the internet has proven to be true. Like, there is no way that this 6'4" extremely attractive male Fabian can film a video and then fail to be a villain behind the screen. By the way, I'm actually a good guy, believe it or not, and I am singular. Okay, I'm defeating the purpose of my own MP4 file, and this is why I don't file videos like this. But I was on Reddit, as somebody who is singular would do, and I came across some confessions that got me thinking about the subject even further. I want a girlfriend so badly. M19, you sound like a car. I know I always make the jokes about how people word themselves on Reddit. I know M19 refers to a male who's just hit the age limit of 19, but can we just not deny it? M19 sounds like a BMW. M19, 20 this Saturday. I don't post on Reddit too often, but I guess I just needed somewhere to speak about this. I'm not usually this vulnerable on the internet and hate asking stuff like this online because it makes me feel like a bit of a loser. I hesitate hesitated several times to post this as well. I gotta be honest, the feeling of being single, ready to mingle, and being mentally put together but also getting shot down by every girl I come across really starts to consume me after a while. Some part of me feels like I know why girls don't like me, and it's probably because of how I look or my personality, which I think both are completely fine. I'm usually very outgoing, yet also very quiet and shy a lot of the time. But I'm very easy to get along with, aside from most people out there who seem impossible to get along with. I don't want to speak too much on my personality unless it were in DMs, but I won't lie. I want to be in a relationship with a girl. I want to be able to be there for her, give her a shoulder to lean on when she needs it. I want to inspire her, tell her she is beautiful and an amazing person. Overall, I just want a serious relationship and not someone who just wants to be with me just because. I take relationships very seriously. Trying to get in contact with girls is so impossible these days. It's so upsetting to me. I don't know if it's just my area, but it really does seem like it is impossible. So this M19 vehicle, soon to be an M20 vehicle, he's about to upgrade, so congratulations. And this is actually one of the other reasons as to why I made this video. And I'm going to dissect this guy's post, but I feel like it closely associates with some of the interactions I've had with a lot of dudes who are single. But I don't think Instagram DMs are going to solve that issue for you, because all of the DMs that I do receive are from people who have just seen my videos online and haven't actually seen my nostril system in person, which just goes back to what I was saying earlier. You don't know somebody from a screen. You need to know somebody behind that screen. And for you to convince yourself that you're attracted to someone or you would like to be synced with that someone just because you've seen them online is gonna get you in a lot of trouble, because you are going to bump into some villains who are going to take advantage of that. Now, if you are somebody that I do know, that's a completely different situation. If you are scrolling on Instagram and you see someone that you are attracted to, or you see something from them that has made you come to the conclusion that they are the ones for you, now just imagine that person without an editing software. Imagine that person without filtering everything they say in front of a camera. Because guess what? Everyone can be good in front of a camera. As somebody that is 21 years of age, I will not lie to you. This is a sensation that I sensationed with when I was 18, 19, and even 20. Seeing people around you sync up, it does something to you. It makes you think, why am I not synced up? But one of the consequences that is contracted from the online realm is that you won't just see that in person, you'll also see it online. And because you see it a lot more online, it kind of magnifies the effect and makes it seem a lot more apparent than it actually is. Now, this guy says that he has no problem being extroverted. He has no problem going out there and being outspoken. And he actually seems to be quite confident in the way that he looks and the personality that he has. And I'm not here to question that. But since you are saying that you are truly those things, I want you to ask yourself, why do you desire a relationship? If you are below the age of 25 and you are desperately desiring somebody, you are desperately desiring to be in a relationship, I think that equals a lot of things that you might not think of. Like, sure, you might be getting rejected by girls and now it's hard for you to kind of move forward with that confidence. If you were truly confident, you'd be getting rejected by girls and still moving forward with the same amount of confidence. And I love this analogy because it's the analogy that I continue to spread around to people that tell me the same thing over and over again. If you are to go to a girl or you are to approach a girl for the sake of marriage or whatever it may be, you need to imagine that you are offering this girl a plate of gold. And by the way, this works vice versa. If a girl is interested in a guy and it's the other way around, the same thing applies. But you need to imagine that you are offering them this plate of gold because that's who you are. You are golden. And then you give them this gold and they say, no, I don't want it. Who actually won then? You, because you got to keep the gold. And I know this might sound like some sort of a coping mechanism, but that's the type of value that you should have for yourself. Confidence should not be dependent on the way that you look. Take me, for example. I have been classified as a Greek sculpture. And by the way, I actually think Greek sculptures are pretty cool. I know you guys don't mean that in a negative manner. I actually embrace it. But that hasn't lowered or increased my confidence, because if my confidence was based on my genetic ability, I wouldn't be confident. And that's not a diss towards my gene pools. It's just people that are dependent on their looks for their confidence are not truly confident. All these looks maxers and people that claim that you need to make sure that your jawline is in a cute angle, do you think those people are truly confident? They are the most unconfident because their whole personality is based on something that they have zero control over. So guess what? Being a good looking person doesn't actually make you a good person. That's something you have to actually work for. You are 19, even if your 7-year-old cousin called you unk, you are still very early in life. The reality is this: the goalpost is always shifting, and not everyone needs to score in the second minute. Sometimes you're supposed to score in the 73rd minute. Everyone's on their own timing. I feel so worthless without a partner. I already made like 3 posts describing all that is happening in life, so I don't really feel like doing it again, and I don't want you to do it again. I think the issue has already been unissued. It's right there. Why are you confessing to the realm of Reddit? Who is going to give you good advice on Reddit? In short, I am useless, can't do anything, don't see a future for myself, and just feel like a totally worthless person. And the only possible solution that comes to mind is finding a partner who maybe could make me feel like a normal person. But I also realize that nobody is gonna fall in love with a useless mess of emotions and dependency. And even if someone does, it is probably unfair and toxic to them. I'm not going to sit here and try to unaffirm you in what you have already affirmed. There's no point in confessing on Reddit and letting it be known that you can play the main character in the live cast inside out. I was talking to one of my homies who constantly finds himself in situationships. And this is a very good looking person, a very well put together person. He takes care of himself, he has good stuff lined up for him, but he's lacking one thing, and that's confidence. Despite the things that he's achieved and the things that he might achieve in the future, his situationships do not end positively. They consistently end negatively for him. And when we sat down to talk about it, and he kind of did what you just did in this Reddit confession, which was vent, after he got into, I don't even know the integer of situationship that he got shipped in, but we came to the conjecture that it was actually within him. He was lacking confidence, and a lot of his confidence was dependent on those things that he's achieved. And he felt like if he wasn't doing those things, then he was worthless. And there it is again. The proof for you being worthy as a person is not dependent on external factors. And this individual said it themselves. It would be toxic to kind of unload that mess onto somebody else. I don't know why there is this notion that if you get into a relationship, everything will be solved. Like a Dr. Doofenshmirtz type beat can get into a relationship and just become Nelson Mandela. If you are a mess and you go and get into an unmess, you're going to turn that unmess into a bigger mess. Everything will become messy. And I am not talking about the Lionel one. Those things don't come from being plural. They come from being singular. And if you don't solve those things when you're dealing with them, when you're uno, don't think they're just going to magically disintegrate when you become dos. And it's obvious why the people who lack the most confidence are constantly licking their lips at the prospects of being potentially plural. And I'm not talking about, oh, I want to have a family and I want to get married type of vibe. I'm talking about everything in their life revolves around the opposite gender. Everything in their life revolves around them, not just being by themselves. These people are so desperate to be in relationships because they want affirmation. They want confirmation. They want somebody to be their two-step verification, verifying every single thing that they think of. And that's just not the reality. That's not what happens. No one is going to join forces with you to be a detector test. Sure, you might get some affirmation, but that's not going to solve your issue. And if anything, it's going to create a bigger issue because that will translate over to your partner. And then if you decide to have breathing embryos, it will travel over to them as well. And I feel like this age bracket of 17 to 25 is dealing with this because we're getting into that era of our lives. We are finally leaving the realm of being a child and getting closer and closer to adulthood. And because we are reaching there, we start to panic and think about the idea of what is life going to be like if I always just stay on my own. And if you are thinking like that, that's already an issue because you should be so comfortable with yourself that it makes you comfortable with the fact that you could always be by yourself. You know what they say, thief is the comparison of joy, or something like that. But if you rearrange those words, it actually makes sense. Comparison is the thief of joy. And this is quite comical because I think people that are singular tend to not talk with people that are plural that often. And if they do, they're just asking them, how do I find someone? At this point, they're trying to find anything that moves. I'm going to move that thought away because that was disturbing. You just see a dude trying to spit game to a roly-poly. Wow, you are super attractive. Do you mind if you be the roly to my poly? I don't like the way that sounded. And you know what's funny? If you were to ask somebody that is plural if there are moments where they wish they were unplural, they would probably tell you, yeah. Imagine, I have spoken to people that have told me this, where they have said, yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine what life was like before being in a relationship and having all of these breathing embryos crawling around me. They kind of miss being this alone thing. And why do you think that happens? Maybe because they've got the confidence that they truly wanted to conceive. And now they actually wonder what their life would be like if they were actually confident prior to getting married. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case. My point is, you are in a stage of your life where you are not plural. Cherish that. And look, I'm not gonna sit here like I know it all. I'm pretty sure this guy just made the video to be hashtag relatable. But despite that, I feel like it encapsulates what everyone is truly feeling. And that's why you have to ask yourself this question. Do you want to be in a relationship because you want to be in a relationship? Or do you want to be in a relationship because everybody else is getting into a relationship? Do you want to truly be in a relationship, or do you just like the idea of it? And don't take it from me. Take it from this random dude on Reddit. Do I want to be in a relationship, or do I just like the idea of it? 23-year-old guy, quite an introverted and reserved person, never really dated or had a girlfriend. In my culture, people get married kind of young. I have friends that are getting married soon, and I can't help but compare. I don't know if I'm just wanting a girlfriend just to keep up with others, or if I truly want it for myself. Of course, intimacy and closeness are things everyone wants. I just hate the process of dating. I hate the chase. It's exhausting being around someone new. It takes me a while to get comfortable. The whole process just feels like a massive chore. I also prefer to stay at home a lot, not very outgoing, and I'm not very talkative either. Both things make it hard to date. It just seems a bit sad to go through my whole life never having been in a relationship, even though I do prefer being on my own most of the time. I think with the right person, you can both be alone together. That would be perfect. And I think this dude sums it up perfectly. If you're questioning yourself over the fact that if you want to be in a relationship because everyone else is in a relationship, then you don't want to be in a relationship. And I'm telling you this because I have been in that exact situation. So even though this might be the last time that I make a video like this is Ahmed's step-by-step guide on how to enjoy being single. Bob, put some interesting effects on the screen so it seems like I actually know what I'm talking about. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is how I find myself enjoying the idea of being single. Despite being someone that does sometimes dream about going to the movie theater in a matching hoodie set with his wife. But number one, purpose and goals. You find yourself in a mess of emotions and you find yourself in this place where you're just purposeless. And typically people who don't have purpose or goals are not people that don't want to have purpose or goals. When I talk to people that don't know what they want to do in the future or what they want to achieve, that's just due to a lack of experience. If you haven't experienced much in your life, you won't truly be able to understand what you want to achieve in your life. And I can speak from personal experience. This happened when I moved overseas for 1 year to pursue professional football. Yes, I'm giving you guys some hidden lore here. When I was 17, I graduated high school intentionally early so that I could go overseas by myself to pursue chasing a sphere for some shillings. Obviously, I'm sat on YouTube making videos talking about my experience, so that means it didn't work out. Now, even though the outcome may have been negative and I still believe that I am a truly talented footballer, it was still by far the most important experience that I had to experience in my life. You think you want to be in a relationship, but you don't even know how to fold your clothes. You can't even make 3 meals. Cereal with milk and some parsley drizzled on top, not a delicacy. People truly discover who they are by experiencing who they are alone. And I don't mean lock yourself up in your room and sit in the corner, but get involved. The more you interact with other individuals and the more you experience things outside of your comfort zone, the more you will be able to figure out where your zone truly is. With limited experience, your goals will be limited, and that's why they may feel like they're purposeless. Anyways, you armadilloist armadillos, if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you just feel like you can't get enough of me. Typically, people feel like they have gotten enough of me. Like I said, this was a bit of a different video. I hope you did enjoy it. I just felt like it was something that was reoccurring in my interactions with Oxygen. It just seemed to be the theme that continued to get highlighted wherever I was going. Even though I don't feel like I'm a subject to this subject, I still feel like I wanted to talk about it as it seems very relevant to the era of life that I'm currently in. Anyways, this is the end of the video. It's about to terminate. And I would highly suggest that you click off the video right now before I sniff you.